Welcome to In Focus. I am, of course, your host, Bad Derek, and today I'm going to do something a little bit different because I'm actually shooting this on two separate cameras. One of these cameras is the Red Komodo, the other one is the Sony FX6. And what do you think of the footage? They're shot side by side, both cameras, Sony and the Red together simultaneously on the virtually the same lighting conditions, both exposed correctly. Everything I believe is about as good as you can get for these two cameras. And I want your opinion. What do you think of these cameras? I mean, is there one that you have a preference for? Now, I keep looking down here because I have a monitor down here that's a monitor there to record one of the cameras and a monitor up here to record the other of the cameras. I just want to make sure that I'm framed fairly well to do the scene. So what I want you to do is really just look at the footage and figure out which you think is better. Is one of these cameras more cinematic than the other? Is the Red maybe more cinematic? Is the Sony maybe more cinematic? Also, are there any qualities that you like from these two cameras that maybe I'm missing? Is one pulsing? Is one pulsing for focus? I don't think either of these cameras really do that. The way they're both set, it shouldn't be an issue. But I want you to notice things like highlight roll-off. Now, in this room, it's a little bit warm. I don't run air conditioners or anything while I'm recording for obvious reasons. So it could be a little bit warm in here. The other thing is I used a clapper to sync my audio. And the reason why is because I have both of these using ambient sound lockets to sync the audio. In the past, I might have had issues, so I'm just making sure that everything is going to work according to plan. There's a few things that really you should take away from this footage. One might be the highlight roll-off, for example. And the color transitions, is one better than the other? Is the Sony more forgiving? Is it more subtle in how it rolls off the colors? Or is the Red maybe a more forgiving camera in how it rolls off the colors? Now, I think that everything is pretty evenly matched here as far as how these cameras are set up. So I'm hoping there's not too much of a giveaway in that regard. But what really I want is your feedback as to which do you prefer? And do you think that you're getting an advantage from one over the other that would sway your opinion one way or the other? I think in a setting like this, inside a studio, the advantages of, say, things like autofocus, they really do become less significant because you're really not using autofocus that much in the studio. You set your focus point, you set your distance, and you're good to go. And a lot of the time, even with these cameras that are so very good at autofocus, I find I don't use it in studio because they may hunt just a little, or they may focus from one eye to the other, and it can be a little distracting. So I'll usually just set a deep enough depth of field so that I'm within the plane of focus and then leave it at that. So which of these is the better of the two? Now, there's another important thing that I want you to bear in mind, and that is the audio. And the reason why is, for obvious reasons, I'm recording the audio from this. Instead of using an external recorder like I generally do with the Red, what I'm instead doing is I'm using the internal audio from Sony, which to my ears sounds very, very good. Now, there are things that it doesn't do great, like it's not 32-bit float audio inside the Sony, so it is possible to clip your audio, but I find that it really is pretty good, and that's never really been a big concern with the Sony. But hey, if you think that that's not the case, by all means, go ahead and let me know. I think it should be fine. So what do you think of these two footages? I'm going to bend them. I'm going to twist them. I'm going to bring them to the breaking point because I want to know which is the better codec. Like I said, one of these cameras is recording ProRes Raw and the other camera is recording Red Komodo Raw. And they're both pretty good codecs from my understanding, both pretty good formats. Which do you prefer? Which do you think is more robust? Which of these cameras is better? And I will speak a little bit and I'm going to keep doing the back and forth thing for your benefit so that you can really get a good eyeballing of this. I'm not going to mess around. I'll throw some behind the scene witness shots so that you can tell that this is the real deal. Take a look at these two. Please do comment, scrutinize, and I'm sweating right now. I think I'm mildly sweating mildly sweating. This is pretty much just a costume for a new series that I'm doing, which I'm going to elaborate on more. I should have the first episode out within the week, the first episode. So I'll put a link to that when it's up. I've tried to match these as closely as I can. I have a lot thrown up on the Red, and I have a lot thrown up on the Atomos Ninja, so I can have an idea of what the color's going to look like. I think they look great, both. I honestly think both of these cameras look great. I do wonder, why did I buy both? But I think that they are different in their own subtle ways. The Red is a camera I will absolutely take with me when I don't want to take a camera and I'm trying to go low-key, because I can really build it out to be very, very small. I have less success building out the Sony to be very, very small because, unfortunately, as you all know, Sony put the audio inputs on the top handle. That is workarounds. I could run timecode in and take a separate audio recorder, blah, blah, blah. But it's so much easier to be able to just stick a microphone in and just go. Or in a pinch, I guess you can always use the internal audio, but not the best. Not the best. For the Sony, you definitely want to run that top handle to get your audio. There is the new R3 coming out, which I've heard a little more news on. 30 megapixel sensor, supposed to shoot 4K, supposed to be down res from that 30 megapixel. Sounds interesting. I do need a camera for my RF glass, one that can fully exploit that RF glass. I don't feel that that camera is the Red. It's a great camera. I'm using RF glass on it now. By the way, just so you know, both of these cameras are running equivalent lenses, and I say equivalent loosely, but they're both very, very good lenses. I'm running the Sigma 24-70 on, and this is f2.8 on the Sony, and I'm running on the Red the RF 24-70. So they're both running very good modern lenses. They should be sharp, clear, perfect, flawless autofocus. You should be able to see eyelashes and beards and zits or whatever I have. You'll be able to see everything, so don't hurt me too much. Now I'm going to flip things up. I'm going to put on a hat because I just want to give you an idea of, see here I should have, oh, wrong side. I should have this line in particular, something that I look at, and I like this to fade gently into my skin and just look very natural. And I wonder which pulls that off better. If this is looking very harsh, this gentle blue light caressing me, if it's looking very harsh, then maybe it's not the perfect look. If it's looking more subtle, natural, that's the thing I'm looking for. The idea is that when I take this footage into post, I want to be able to bend it, twist it, and really shape it into something. And like I said, I'm going to really push these grades. So anyway, back to what I was on about. The R3 looks quite interesting, kind of big. Let me put on the hat, and I'm going to be sweating, so I'm only going to leave this on for a few minutes. This is really just for you. All right, so, and I'll take off the glasses. How's that? I get this mark here from the indent, so don't judge me. So here I am, quite blind at this point without my glasses, but this is yet another look. So what do you think of this footage? Is it cinematic? And again, back to the R3, interesting looking camera. I like the idea that the R3 is going to be that, you know, have the integrated hand grip. I like that. I used to have the DX series cameras, and I quite liked that, but I didn't like carrying that. So I'm also happy that it's going to be a smaller version of the DX series of cameras, kind of, but in a mirrorless flavor. So that sounds interesting. And even more interesting than that is the upcoming R5C, rumored to be coming out. That sounds interesting. That sounds like it would have been a camera I would have bought if around about the time when the R5 came out, because that sounds like it's going to address all the issues that the R5 had. Now, if they can do some sort of magic whereby I can get, whether it is that, you know, some sort of extended dynamic range like what the C300 has, or even better, maybe a next gen of that, with pixel by pixel sensitivity would be so great, but I don't think we're there yet. But I'm very curious as to what that will have, or maybe even built-in NDs. That would be monumental, I think. So those are two cameras I'm very, very curious about. I can't think of anything on the Sony front that immediately grabs me. I passed on the A1 because for me, it's not really a camera that interests me. It's a great camera, but not really something I want to buy. I'm not making any hard and fast decisions until those cameras come out, until there's more information. There's zero on the R5C I hope it's great. If it's great, I'll buy it. If it isn't, then I'll pass. Same with the R3. If it's a great camera, the only thing that scares me with that is it going to be too big? I've kind of been shied off of these smaller cameras. And honestly, the cameras I have now are so great, I'm not sure I want to do it. So this is a great time to be buying a camera, apart from the chip shortage and the difficulty in getting them. I think it's such a great time because there's so much out there, just so much. So many good cameras. Whether you really can't go wrong, whether you're buying Sony, Fuji, even Nikon. It's good enough. I mean, if you know what you're doing, you know how to light, you know your way around, you know how to get a decent image, then any of the modern cameras today are more than good enough to get a primo image. But back to the point, which is simply this. Do either one of these cameras, is it this or this or this or this? Which do you love the most? And let me know. And I'm going to do a reveal. Here it is. Are you ready? Are you done? I want you to guess which is which. I'm going to do a countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ready? This is it. This is a Sony FX6. And this is the Red Komodo. Sony FX6, Red Komodo. Do you have a preference? Do they both look convincing? I don't know. You tell me. Anyway, remember to like and subscribe. And if you really enjoyed this video, then also give it a thumbs up. And I'll catch you next time. Oh, and remember to comment below. If you comment below, I'll definitely get back to you.